Are you ready? I said, are you ready? You are listening to Voice of the Fans Sportscast, brought to you by none other than the voices of the fans. Discussing football, basketball, news, trending topics. The one-stop shop for all things sports. Voice of the Fans Sportscast. Hosted by none other than Ben Swift Reynolds, Taylor Gatwood, 100% RC, Professor Damian Flowers, and Tyler Wright.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Voice of Fan Sportscast. We are presented by Pod Squad Network. I'm your host, Ben Swift Reynolds. We have our special guest with us, Traci Bunn. And we have Coach AP, Randy Coolray from Voice of Fans of Canada. Sorry, Coach AP, from the Slide Podcast. And my co-host, Linda Rosa. How y'all doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Hey, Swift, do I have to pay tariff fees for joining this American show?
You might.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah, you might get a bill.
No doubt. My financial situation's a little tight right now, so
we might slice it for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
But thank y'all guys for joining us. Coach AP, it's been a while since we talked to you. I'm glad you're back. Too bad RC and Flowers not here to talk to you.
Yep.
And Randy, all the way from Canada. Likewise. I'm glad we finally able to link up after I don't know how many tries,
Yeah, no, I mean, always hear some great stuff coming from you guys. You guys were talking Four Nations Face-Off, which is obviously really near and dear to my heart on your last episode. And I think when I first rebranded my podcast to Voice of the Fans Canada, that was the last time we cut it up. So, we definitely, it's been long overdue for sure.
Yes, indeed. And Traci Bunn, who is a personal trainer, a baseball mom, and you say your daughter do gymnastics, right?
Yeah, she does tumble.
Nice.
And then I also teach a senior fit. I'm a silver sneakers, which none of you guys know what that is. I basically teach. My youngest client is like in her 50s, and my oldest is she's close to 100 years old. And so I teach a little fitness class for them.
Nice.
So, and then wife and mom. I mean, I'm juggling everything.
That's everything, Tyler and all.
I know. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little about yourself. Give us a little introductory to who Traci Bunn is.
So I've been a personal trainer for a little over 13 years. I was a former powerlifter and I was a former softball player way back in the day. And so health and fitness has always been a part of my journey and something that I loved. I think because I grew up in an era where it was the diet culture, Weight Watchers, and, the skinniest is the sexiest type thing. I always wanted to kind of flip the script, especially when it comes to females. I think, especially as a mom, we are so hard on ourselves with our bodies and what we look like. And, I just wanted to do something different. So I always say I'm not your typical trainer. I do not have a six-pack of abs. I don't work out every single day. And, I still eat McDonald's, even though, I know it's probably not good for you, but I don't care. I enjoy it. I always live by balance is everything. And, and that's just something I try to preach to my kids as well, especially since they're both kind of in athletic sports and, just kind of have that balance. And so, along with being a personal trainer, I'm a mom. I've been married for going on 12 years, and my husband's a oil and gas consultant out of the West Texas area. And so I juggle a lot of schedules and solo parent a lot, but I balance it all.
Wow, that's amazing. You sound like a busy person. You making
I
me
am.
tired.
I know it,
I'm
right?
tired. My husband says I'm the most like well rested, tired person because I take a nap every day, but I'm still tired.
Right, no matter what you
So
do, man. But that's
yeah.
awesome. Especially being in the fitness world myself. I used to be a personal trainer back in the day before I got married,
Awesome.
and it just resonated with me. Going into training and sports just go
Hmm.
hand in hand. And I always had a good time training clients and getting to meet new people.
Hmm.
And from me being a former player, it was just easy for me to do personal training because that was my passion. So
Hmm.
that's awesome. Coach AP, I see you doing banana ball. What you doing for banana ball and everything?
Well, dude, the first year I started the podcast, I didn't even know who the Savannah Bananas were, like in 22. And I found out quickly after I started the show, and got invited down. I had one of the owners on the show. I had some players, and got invited down. And I told my wife sitting there, I'm like, I'm going to work here. Like, this is insane. So literally next month after I got back, I had interviewed, pitched them the idea of youth banana ball, and they loved it. And like 2 months later, I got the call saying this is what I'm doing. And now,
Wow.
dude, it changed my career. The show did, but no, man, I'm the banana ball tournament coordinator. So we
Man.
put on our very first tournament last year in Cleveland, Ohio.
It
And
was so fun.
dude, listen, we had
Wow.
It was
75 teams
yeah.
from 48
Jeez.
different states and Canada.
Yeah.
Randy, dude, I don't know where you were at in Canada, but one of the members of my team is from Canada, and she's going to be the first female MLB player. I'd put money on it.
Okay.
Anyway,
I am in Toronto. Just
okay.
I'm in
So
Toronto.
she's in Whitby.
Okay, right
Toronto?
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. That's give or take an hour 50 minutes away from me. Yeah,
Okay.
so
But
about 50 miles.
But yeah, man. And so we're doing our tournament this year in Savannah. And it's a big deal, man. There's over 4 million people on the wait list to get tickets now. And for
I've been on it.
every
Yeah.
registered player for this event gets 4 tickets to come watch us play a game while everybody's in town. And the championship games for the tournament are going to be played on our home field. So it's the same field that Babe Ruth played on, Hank Aaron played on, Jackie Robinson played on, Lou Gehrig, all of these like famous people from early in the history of baseball has played at this field. I mean, this field was opened in 1926. So like it's got a lot of history. So that's cool though, man. Like kids get to play on that field.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, I'm happy for you. I noticed you posting it on your Instagram and TikTok, and I was just like, I'm very happy for you, man, because I know where you started from.
Yeah.
And man, look at you.
I know, man. I spent 26 years in retail, man. Didn't think I could do anything else. And man, the show changed my life in a lot of different ways, dude. But yeah, man. I got 2 full-time jobs basically right now. This show is growing and it's a lot. I'm just building a team and ready to go.
Man, I just want to tell you, I thank you for support, even though you might not mean it directly, but I be getting some of your people from your Instagram pages and TikTok following me. So it's just like, man, you still showing me love, like after all the years, even though we don't talk every day, but just indirectly, we still support each other, and I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I see a lot of I obviously see most every one of your posts, I believe, and I see a lot of our followers following you guys and vice versa. And I mean, it goes both ways, man. That's what we're here for, is to support each other.
That's it. So me and Tracy, we were talking off record, and I'm glad you brought this up about youth sports and travel baseball. because we actually did travel baseball for the first time last year, and baseball season coming up again for my son. Right now he in 6th grade, and a lot of coaches they came calling again talking about travel baseball. They said that it's important for him to play travel baseball, as much as possible to get him ready for middle school. So they've been pitching us at us hard to do that for him because they like, well, he might get left behind if he's not playing against this competition and everything. So we've been like,
Aaron's making the same face I'm making.
So me and my wife, me and my wife, we are children's pastors at our church. So we got busy schedule already with the kids there. And so we were like putting our heads together. Okay, should we do this? Should we not do this? So we began him lessons at the local training facility called D-Bat here in Hasbro.
Oh, yeah.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard it? Yeah. And I've been.
I don't like
friends.
ours. Ours just gets too crowded. But I also say I have a custom batting cage in our backyard, and I was at Travel Ball Mom in the first year. I have everything, every tool you can think of. I've got it. If it's come out, I got it. I got suckered in quick. So I love our D-Bat for like the rainy type days, but ours gets so crowded. It's just not big enough for what they need to do.
Well, they hold like training sessions on Saturdays and stuff. And actually, my friend, he works there, so it's easy to get my son in and out of there. And so, like I said, but the travel ball coach, they've been hitting us hard, talking about you need to get him in there. You don't want to get left behind. Especially he's a pitcher. He's a pitcher and shortstop. So they're hawking on his skill set right now. Well, so my question is,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Nope.
So my question is, like, to help us out too, is travel ball necessary for that athlete to continue to progress in his game, especially when he's 12 years old and he's moving up to middle school? Tracy, what you think?
No. I mean, as much as I love travel ball, I mean, we stepped away just for this season. My son hasn't played city ball since he was 7 or 8. I can't remember when we started. And we finally just said, you know what? We were burned by 2 coaches, and we wanted to kind of just step back before he quit altogether, because then that would just break my heart that the game he loved so much, a coach affected that. But I think from a former player standpoint, I never played travel ball growing up, ever. I watched my brother play it, and I had great opportunities. I was a standout player, quick learner. So I think if you're looking at it from the aspect of, okay, does my player have to play travel ball? No. Now, with playing travel ball comes opportunities that you might not get in rec league and stuff like that. But I think where it gets a little muddy is when coaches are so persistent on, well, if they don't play travel ball, then they're not going to have a shot at it. And that was something when our son wanted to take a step back, I felt like, is he going to miss out? And we took a full season off. He didn't miss anything. He didn't forget his swings. He didn't forget how to throw. He didn't miss anything at all. It honestly made him mentally stronger, and it made him a better baseball player, because at the end of the day, they are choosing a sport that is full of failure, and a failure that I don't think a lot of people understand. And some people think it's crazy that, they want to play in that kind of, activity and everything in sport. But I think if you're asking me from a personal and like parent standpoint in travel ball, I don't think he needs travel ball to advance. I think it depends on every family. There's some people that look at me like I'm crazy that we spend weekends at the ball field and we put up with certain things. And I'm like, it's a love-hate relationship. But I also feel like there's times where, when you just need to like separate it, I guess.
That's good to hear, because every day my son, he point out something to me about travel baseball, and he was like, I don't want to not make the team and all this. So he having all this fear.
Yeah.
Dealing with that type of stuff.
I mean, they cut kids at 8. As crazy as that is, they cut kids at 8 years old.
Wow.
So I mean, it's just it's
Is there
wild
a
in a sense.
Sorry, is there a minimum age for kids to take part in whether it's travel ball or, and I'm assuming the same dynamic takes place within American football and basketball and so on?
I mean, my daughter got asked to do travel ball. She's 5.
Wow. And
Listen,
She's 5.
forgive me because
Now,
the
she's got a
dynamic
money.
is
She's got a swing way better than her brother ever had at that age. She has
okay.
got she knows those movements. And somebody approached me about it, and I was like, she's like 5, right? And they're like, yeah, she can play up to like the 6U. And I said, she'd be that one where she would hit and then she does cartwheels going down to the first baseline. She'd be that person.
Yeah.
Like, I just know her.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Is it the same for other sports? Because I don't know how different it is. I mean, obviously, hockey and first and foremost here in Canada,
Yeah.
and basketball, it's obviously taking off. I mean, football, I mean, it does not even touch the radar here in this country.
Wow.
But
yeah. Oh,
it
wow.
does. I could get into that in a second. But like for basketball and football, is it the same dynamic where it's a separate program for kids to travel out of state to play?
It's different travel, different organizations and everything, different sanctions. There's like club, like especially like with volleyball, there's, your club volleyball, and then there's, you can do city type volleyball. Same with basketball, there's club level, there's, within the school level and stuff like that. And then there's, there is travel, basketball and everything like that. But
Gymnastics, I'm assuming as well.
Oh yeah, and cheer,
Cheerleading.
and all.
cheer.
It's
My niece
it's all
is a competitive,
It's all that.
So we
Yeah.
went to my niece's competitive cheer competition, and mind you, it was a 90-second performance, and I won't even say what we paid for it. But I just looked around and I thought, I'm so glad my daughter doesn't want to do this. Like, she
Did
loves
you say
tumbling.
90 seconds?
90
Yeah.
seconds.
Oh man.
No,
yeah.
I grew up
90
doing
seconds.
competition cheer, and the routines were like 10 minutes long.
Oh, no.
What?
No. For a
Listen,
90-second routine now. And I just thought, what did I just pay for? Like, what? And I love
And
I
how
would do
how far are
anything
you
for 90
traveling? How far are you
We
traveling?
traveled an hour.
An
I
hour.
would do
Okay.
anything for my niece. I love her.
Sure.
So when we traveled, I was like, it's great. We were all from baseball. I was like, it'd be good. I want to make like a funny reel, because you always hear in like with baseball, it's the most expensive thing. And I'm like, no, competitive cheer said, hold my beer. Let me show you what pricey is. And it's just funny because I look around and I'm like, no, I can't do this.
I lived it. I've got an 18-year-old daughter that did it since she was 11, and I could have bought 2 cars with what I
Yeah.
had. And
I
every
bet.
time, and my wife would make me get there 3 hours before, and I would sit there for 3 hours for a 60 or 90-second clip, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. Anyway, we don't want to even get on cheer. We want to keep this thing positive.
I've never heard of a 60, 90-second situation. I'm like flabbergasted.
Yeah.
I guess there is a comparison, because obviously when it comes to hockey, I'd never played organized hockey, but and I have several friends who have organized in hockey themselves when they were kids, and now that they're parents with their kids. I mean, they're traveling to 4 hours away in a different province. Sometimes they go to the state. Well, a number of times they go to the States. And the money amount, Coach, you were talking about the cars, and I mean, you're with a sport with like baseball, with hockey, I'm guessing that the equipment is more expensive than football. I mean, these kids are growing like weeds. I mean, like the money that is being spent for youth sports and the traveling, going to Europe, for sure, to play hockey. No, it's wild.
Who's going to Europe?
Well, I mean, for hockey, hockey, like teenagers, preteens, like
youth hockey is
Youth-
traveling to
Youth
Europe.
baseball.
Hold on,
baseball.
I was about to say youth baseball is going to China, Costa Rica, Ecuador. I mean,
Japan.
there's
Oh yeah,
Oh
because they
my
have the World
God.
Series and stuff. They have
Panama.
Yeah, the
If
Little
I-
League World Series. I mean,
if I could
Williamsport, right?
if I could do it, I would send my kid to Japan for baseball. I really would.
That
I'd
would
be
be
like,
Oh, yeah.
you're gonna come back a mini Otani. But it's like I have to sell a liver. And I look at, do I really need my liver right now? It's
Right.
You just
so
need to
expensive.
sell some feet pics, and then you can get over.
Right.
girl, you can come to California and sell your
No.
ovaries for 40,000.
I mean,
Oh, really?
I could just sell my eggs and be like,
How
"Hey,
much would a
here's-"
Canadian foot pick go for in California?
Less.
Not yours.
Hey, that's it. That's international. It might go for a good bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right.
I mean,
Well,
I
Ben,
won't lie. I haven't done it, but I do know some moms, some sports moms. They're local to our area, and they do some OnlyFans to pay their kids baseball.
Let me get my kids.
And I mean, it's just a nice,
Anything
like,
for the
that's
kids.
That's a new
my
thing.
kids to the
Okay.
game.
that's new
And that's for
fundraising
the
right there.
kids.
Right, fundraising. Hey, yo, no more fundraising. Having buckets out by the streets and asking for cash. You just
Get that lemonade stand going, Swift.
Yeah.
It's like that sign. It's like I'm not poor. I just need money for travel ball. It's like it's so, and I don't remember it being this. I mean, I always talk about when travel ball came to our area of East Texas, 20 something years ago. It wasn't ever that expensive, but I look at it, it was true travel ball. You didn't play teams locally. You had to drive to Dallas, Texas, and you had to play travel ball teams. That was the true travel ball. Now I can drive to Oklahoma and I'm going to play teams that I play every single weekend, but we're going to drive 3 hours away, or go to Florida and I played the same teams. And I'm like, why? Why did I just
Exactly.
fly to another state to play all these teams we play at home? So
Well,
it's
are these
crazy.
are these situations that you're talking about being discussed? Like, I mean, obviously money rules the world. I get it. We all get it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
travel ball
tell
is
me this-
is a money grab. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it is a money grab.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, Ben, I'm gonna go back and answer your question as well. I know Austin,
Okay.
right? That's Austin's who we're
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Is he overplaying his competition now?
I'll say when we played the travel ball series, he was one of the main stars of the team. So he is playing up to the competition. He was pitching like one kid, he was doing pretty bad, and he put Austin in, and Austin like, you know how timid Austin is, Coach AP. So he threw a few pitches, then he finally got going. He finally got in the groove, and he was scraping out batters left and right, and we was able to win the game. So it was just,
to me,
go ahead.
it's about like, to answer your original question. I'm sorry that my dogs are barking, but
I was like,
there
Aaron,
is
it
so
sounds like
many.
your dogs.
Yeah, there are so many MLB players that have been recorded and went on record to say no, travel ball is not a necessity. Now, you got to know, you got to be aware of things going on, right? All right, every angry dad starts a travel ball team these days, right?
Mhm.
So because they thought they could do it better than the last coach. So you got to find the right coach for Austin, right? You can't, if you've got coaches trying to solicit you, dude, ask them. Tell me about development. Tell me how you encourage development in your program, right? You want to know, like, all right, so if I'm going to start paying money, or if we do this, like, you're going to get something from it, because here's what happens in most cases. And I can speak specific to my area. There isn't a travel ball program. Ain't nobody listen right now. They don't even listen to my podcast, but I'm going to throw them out there. There ain't like, if my son wanted to play competition travel ball, there is not a team in this area I'd sign him up for. Now, there's unlimited resources and amount of teams I could choose from, but like most of these coaches, again, someone told them they should start a team, and that's what they've done, right? So, most coaches, when you ask, tell me about your development, they're going to say, well, development is number one. Okay, tell me what that looks like. Like, because every coach You know, it's like every politician, right? They're going to tell you what you want to hear, but no, I want you to give me examples. Tell me how that works. Because you know, used to travel ball wasn't as big as it is now. And as every angry dad and there's no requirements, dude. Randy, I'm sure maybe this is something you would ask, but there's no requirements for who can coach these teams. There's no mandated background check on coaches. Like,
they don't have to be certified in any kind of
that's crazy.
sports kinesiology, nothing. Like it's just and I'll agree with Aaron on, like, we have 20 in our area, 20 teams, and there's 2 that I would let my son go to.
Yeah, and it's
that says a lot about the coaches that taking over, that creating these teams. That
the minute that they
like,
start promising stuff, I think that's where, with your son, if they start promising things, that's when you want to look at it as,
don't promise.
They're trying to sell me something.
Well, don't promise anything until like you know who your roster is, and because chances are, if he's making a promise to you, he's making a promise to someone else. Right. And I've had it done to me with my kids. And but look, baseball is an amazing sport. Whether you're playing rec ball, travel ball, whatever, in the right environment, dude, you'll get better. And the cool thing about baseball is you could be playing on the backside of a mountain where nobody knows that there's a team there, and I guarantee the MLB will have a scout there looking for you. So what I would say is, if your player is hungry themselves, right, it can't be forced on by a parent. If it's the parent's idea to let's go play travel ball, that's the wrong reason. If the kid is ready for more competition, hey, maybe so. If he's hungry for it, then you just got to put him in the right situation that'll help him to continue to develop. Now, and that's what you don't get from community ball, right? You don't get a lot of that. But when you find the right coach or the right program, like, I wouldn't even necessarily look for a coach specifically. I'd ask the coach, what part of what organization are you a part of? Right.
And then go on Game Changer, Google it all. Game Changer is like WebMD for baseball. You can find out all the stats and everything. I mean, I vet a team before we go on, and I wish I would have done that a little bit more with our last one. I think Aaron mentioned something about, we had a coach make all these promises to my son, offered him a spot. Then 2 weeks later, my son we had pool day, and then we had bracket day. Which, Randy, if you're not familiar, so pool day is you play 2 games and then you find out where you're seated at. So you could, if you win both games, like you're high seed. If you, same thing. And so that determines, am I going to have to wake up at 5 a.m. to get ready for an 8 a.m. game, or am I getting to sleep in a little bit? And my son did amazing on pool play. Hit 2 doubles, was driving in runs after another kid hit a home run. It was just a great thing. The next day, he struck out once and actually backed up the coach's kid when the coach's kid made an error. And he backed him up to save the play and got the ball in. And we found out he had called my son 2 weeks prior to offer him full-time spot, everything. He took that away after 1 strikeout. And to me, I thought, that says so. I already thought the coach was, my husband was not a fan. My husband's very good at like that gut intuition. And I thought, okay, this is going to be good. Maybe, he's a little rough around the edges, but I sat there and I was like, I should have trusted my gut. The minute he said, I promise you this. And I'm like, no, because the minute you start making promises, especially as a coach, you are you're setting up those expectations, and parents
don't do that with
kids. Yeah, you don't. And kids cling to that. Like, I had to tell my kid, it was the hardest thing to tell him. He took an offer back. And to a 10-year-old, that's hard. They're trying to understand.
Sure.
Well, what did I do wrong? And I was like, nothing. Like, nothing. You're going to, I think the thing is, people don't realize in baseball, you're going to have ups and downs and strikeouts and everything. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. But I think some coaches, they lead with, which is why you should ask the coaches that they lead with development, but you have to they have to show that too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Tracy, you were mentioning that the issue, the conflict with your child was the coach favored his son. So, I mean, like something that,
I seen that.
That's such a common thing.
That's
in
It is.
baseball.
We had
called
that
daddy
happen
ball.
on our travel team.
That's-
We had that happen before, and I was like, "Come on, your kid ain't that good." I'm like,
know.
why did I tell you that?
Most of the time, the kid isn't good.
Yeah,
Listen,
this kid's messing up out there.
he messed up so much in the game, and I just sat there. And this is why I sit in the outfield, because I love joking with the umpires and everything, but I sit in the outfield for a reason, because I don't want to be next to the hearsay and everything.
Yeah.
But it was frustrating because they need something different. As a former player, I always think about the moments I had with my coach. She was probably the hardest coach I ever had. She was just so hard on me, and I needed that as a teenager and an athlete. But I always said to myself, she was the one that pushed me and made me want to do better in the sport. And I think
but
that's what kids in
the question
baseball.
is though, Tracy, is that are other parents going to accept Coach A, to chirp their child? For somebody, from my perspective, not a parent, I like to think that I give it to my nephews when, he's screwing around. But like when, you think of, Greg Popovich, you think of Jim Leland. I think all of us would remember the famous spring training clip when Barry Bonds was with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Coach, you know what I'm talking about, when Leland was ripping Barry Bonds.
I remember that.
Yeah. Like Coach Tracy, do you guys think parents can actually accept not only a coach, but a teacher coming down on the child?
I think it depends on the situation. So I'll give you an example. We had, and this was rec lead, so I didn't take it like too seriously. We had a dad that was coaching my son, and mind you, I'm very well versed in softball and baseball. I've been around it my whole life. It's not just because I played softball, I don't know baseball. There's so many drills that we used that coexisted together. And so we had this dad coach, and the only time I interjected was he was trying to teach my son something that he had no clue about. And I thought I'm going to speak up and I was very respectful at that. I'm always respectful if I disagree with something, and I do it privately. I don't do it during the game. I don't do it right after the game. I address it privately. And I think there's a lot of parents that they say they want the coach to be hard on their kid, but if they feel like what they're teaching them is right, even though it may not be right, you better not mess with Jimmy. You better not say something to Jimmy, or Mama Bear's coming out. And to me, I've always said he's got to learn. The coach is there to coach. I'm not there to coach. I had my time playing. I had wonderful years playing. It's his time. It's not my dream to play. Although I would love to go play for OU one day. If I was 15 years younger. But I look at the fact that I think some parents, ideally, they would like to say, yes, we let the coach coach. But in reality, some of them don't. They don't want to hear the criticism. And I think maybe in travel ball, depending on the team, it can feel like a threat. So we were on a team where if our kids did anything wrong or they were messing up, it was like you're on the chopping block. And that is scary as a parent sometimes, when your kid is loving the team and doing so great with it, and their friends and everything, and they're so used to that environment, to be scared. And that was our red flag that I didn't see until we got away from that team, that, oh my gosh, he was always scared of being on the chopping block, and I kept him in that situation. And so I always said, I'm not going to intervene until I need to intervene. in situations like that. But so.
I would say every parent would say it.
Mm-hmm.
Very few would stand by and allow it to happen. Now, granted, look, Popovich. You mentioned Popovich. He was ruthless, and it didn't matter who you were. David Robinson, anyone, right? Like, and I think that's how a coach should be: fair and consistent across the board, right?
Yes, indeed.
And unfortunately, you don't get that a lot, right? Coach's son, you know clearly who the coach's son is. When I coach, look, I will voice my opinion to any parent, and I've done it multiple times. But like sometimes you're fighting the parents more than you're getting time to spend with the kids. And I've had a kid before get up in the box and like in practice, and I'm like, dude, you're not hitting the ball. Let's do it this way. And like I get his feet set and get his hands right, get the bat right. Dude starts hitting it. He goes home, comes back for a game. The kid's doing it the wrong way again. And so I've had to go over and tell dad, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but like he's not able to hit the ball. I've had to parents go buy these bats, not knowing what the right bat is, right? So bats these days, $300, $350, $400,
$500.
Yeah. And then I've gotten into a cage with kids before, and the kid can't get the bat around on his shoulders, and they picked out a bat because their best friend, that's the bat that their friend swings. And what you want from a coach is you want someone that is going to give your kid some structure, some discipline, some accountability, and some recognition. And my go-to thing for coaching is you should never be able to tell who my son is on the baseball field.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed.
And Ben, I'll give you another thing to ask your coach is how important is winning to you, right? Because that right there will solve a lot of stuff. Because there is now at 12 years old, no, there ain't no scouts out there at 12 years old. Now at the Dominican at 12 years old.
Right.
Yeah. Overseas there are.
Yeah, not at the U.S. And so right here, and Traci said this at the beginning, baseball is a game of failure. And I say this almost on every podcast. Kids have to love it, because when it starts getting really hard, like where you're not batting 500 anymore because you were as you were younger, if you don't learn to love the game at such an early age, that when it does get hard, it's a job. And
well, I think a lot of things too, and we've said this before, or I at least notice it, they look at stats. Stats are a big thing with kids, like in baseball. And it's even more a big thing with the younger ages. And we had a coach that was so fixated at 9 years old on what the kid's batting average should be. And I thought, they're 9.
Are they measuring? I'm kind of being facetious, but I'm not. Like, are they measuring launch angle and all these? Like, I'm an older guy. Like, I'm 45.
Exit below, so launch angle.
Everything.
I mean, I'm seeing the stats now. I mean, I grew up in a time when the Milwaukee Brewers were in the American League, and I'm seing all these new stats, and I'm like, A, what is this? And B, why do I care?
they go on Game Changer, which, listen, I love Game Changer because my husband's able to watch it and everything when he's not here for the games and everything. But it's fun to kind of see, like, okay, what was his pitching report like? But I think at a certain age, you shouldn't be worrying about the stats, especially like the batting average. Can I say a cuss word? I don't think am I allowed to? I don't
Swift.
think parents should give okay, good. About the batting average at 9 years old, 10 years old even. I mean, my son's 10. I think they should be more focused on just having fun, making contact with the ball, putting the ball into play, and the thing too is, some people look at when your kid gets walked as a bad thing. listen, if my kid gets walked, which he did a lot on one team, but he scored every single time. He got home. He found a way to always get on base, whether it's hitting the ball, getting hit by the ball, getting walked. He came home. And I always told him, I don't care how you get on base, you better get your butt home though. Come home so I can sit down and be, stress free. But yeah, there's just so
I'm
much
not gonna
pressure.
lie. For today, I'm kind of interested in my sleep tracker on my Fitbit, like how many hours sleep that I get. I'm pretty into the stats. Like I can't.
Are you?
Okay. Yeah,
We all are. We all
I
are.
probably don't get as much as I should because I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes. Just I'll think of things and then my brain is awake, and so I'm like, I gotta write stuff down so I don't forget it.
Yeah.
But I saw your face, Randy, about the bat prices, and I need to show you my most expensive purse. It's pretty pricey. It's
yeah. Well,
that bag.
and like, is it an aluminum bat or is it wooden? Because a wooden bat.
So we have
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's aluminum, and then we have 2 wooden
It
bats.
is aluminum. Okay.
Yeah. So, or I don't remember what it's called. Alloy. We've got one
it's
alloy.
aluminum. It's
Yeah.
aluminum.
And those still go for five bills?
Oh yeah. So
wow.
So when you're in travel ball, you have to use USSSA bats. You cannot use USA stamps. So there's 2 different types. Now I did find out in California, like where Gadir's at and stuff, and like the rec league, you can only use USSSA, which in Texas, if you're in rec league, you can only use USA stamped. And they're a little cheaper.
Dixie, right?
Yes, so we're Dixie. So
that's USA
and there's
only.
There's different areas, different sanctions and stuff like that. Because there's one area that's about an hour from us in Tyler, Texas. They use a different group than Dixie, and so for us, we had to go buy a new bat because my kid's not going to share a bat with someone. He's weird like that, and I don't blame him. He's like, I don't want to use somebody else's property that's their property. Now I don't care if he shares his bat, but we had to buy some, and that was probably like $145. But he's got 4 others that were $345 to $499 or so, and then he's got 2 wooden bats that were about $190 or so.
Right.
So, yeah.
Here's the thing, Randy.
And then everything that goes with it.
Yeah. Like baseball's big business in the youth world. And so
It is.
here's how bat sales work. All right. Have you ever heard the term hot out of the package? Ben, you ever heard?
No, I haven't.
All right. So hot out of the package means that bat doesn't need a breaking in and it's ready to go. Right. So
Which is good.
Now some bats.
You got to explain to Linda what breaking in means. With the bat.
Some bats, Linda, and it's more composite. So it's not an actual.
Because I'm like, it's
bat.
Preheated, is what I'm hearing.
We're gonna turn on the stove. Let's break it in.
It's a different material. So when you get a bat that's made out of composite, there's usually a break-in. So what's advised is hit the ball off the tee, hit it off the tee, and then what happens is the material inside of it more solidifies and hardens over time. All right.
Okay.
But Randy, in a situation with these expensive bats, like Easton Hype was the bat for last year. Well, actually for the last 2 years, the Easton Hype Fire. This bat was so hot. And when I say hot, meaning the ball launches off the bat. Perfect Game, who is a large tournament body.
Tony Harper.
Yeah, Tony Harper.
Okay, I was about to say it's Tony Harper's.
They're a huge tournament body where all the high potential kids go to play. They banned this bat because it was dangerous. And then what Easton did was release another bat, different paint scheme, different name, and slid that sucker right in. And so that's how it works, man. And so every company is competing to see which one the kids are going to choose. And so what that does for me as a player is I have a higher percentage of hitting a home run with this bat.
There was 8-year-olds hitting home runs with it.
I mean, and obviously as a lay person, you think of a corked bat And I mean, it sounds like that this is a corked bat, but it's meeting
Standards.
It's meeting the
yeah.
standards.
Mhm.
We were playing in tournaments, and like it was hosted by, I don't remember who it was hosted by, but they were giving you, so you go there and they're like, you get to demo the hype fire. Whoever hits a home run gets a hype fire. And I'm like, it's a genius marketing tool. Like I give it to them that, but the bat was so hot. And we actually, I think it was like a year ago, we went to Florida, and I had my son. I was like, do you want it? Do you like it? Get a feel for it. If you like it, let's look into it. And he's just like, it's not my thing. He has always loved Marucci bats,
Mhm.
and he's stuck with it.
Cat
And
X.
I mean, he loves his favorite bat, which I keep telling him, I know it sucks that we can't use it into, rec league and stuff. The Marucci Vice. He loves that bat.
Yeah.
That's his. They sent that to us. They sent us a Cat X. I can't remember which one it was. And it was dead. Meaning, like, for once I could say as a travel ball mom, it's the bat's fault. It's not him. It's the bat. And they were like, hey, we're going to send you this one. Try it out. He hit 2 doubles that next day. And I was like, I love it. Now he's got the Victus vibe, which, his biggest complaint is it doesn't hit like my travel ball bats. And I said, it's not going to.
Yeah.
It won't ever hit like that. So we bounce between like his camwood wood bats for strength and everything, and then getting ready to use that. But it's such a money market,
Yeah, sure.
And then you got parents competing with each other. And I mean, it's a rat race. I mean, I am.
It is.
It's all over the place.
It's the most competitive thing.
Cutthroat. I mean, and it's all youth sports though, and that's honestly what, like, the reason I even started the show was I remember standing at the park, and you can go do it today, and I look around and I'm like, these people are supposed to be role models for these kids. Like, these kids are supposed to be able to look up and see people that support them all the way around. And instead, we've got coaches yelling, fighting the umpires in some cases, coaches yelling or fighting the opposing coaches. And
coaching saying something to kids or fighting.
Oh my God. Some of the dude, this little girl that we just had on our last podcast, that one that we just released, it's out there. Go subscribe, go follow Sly Podcast, Gracie Gameface. Anyway,
she's so sweet. I watched her.
She was born with 2 lazy eyes, right? She had to have eye surgery, and she taught herself how to pitch, even though she had that, she had to overcome that. She had a coach last season that just told her that she couldn't pitch anymore because people were talking about her eyes. Now I asked this little girl, I said, now, is that before or after you had pitched for this coach? She said it was almost at the end of the season. And the coach told Gracie and went to her mom and told her. And guess what happened after our episode come out where she talked about that? Her account got reported and shut down on Saturday morning.
The mother of the child.
We're pretty sure it was the coach of that team, because I knew about the story. So I wanted to make an example of that coach. And mom and dad.
As you should. They can say what, I feel like you can say whatever you want. Like,
look, my show. To me,
that's our show. Get a story out. That's crazy.
Dude,
there's some things that just have to be said. I feel like, especially in sports. When we went on the podcast, when I went on with Aaron, I did not bash our old team or the people that were on it. I didn't even bash the organization, or even though it disbanded now because of the coaching issues. So it's like karma caught up with you anyways.
Ben, did you have more questions? I'm so sorry, Trey. Ben,
it's fine. Like, we flowing. Hey, look, trust me. I deal with some other people that talk too. So we just go with the flow. We like, hey.
This is how we were with Aaron. Like, all 4 of us, which I said, you had 4 of the most talkative women on your show. Like, we can just talk all day long. And then he adds Mark Paul into it. And I'm like, Mark never shuts up sometimes. So I'm like, you just shot yourself in the foot with adding all of us together, but
we just go with the flow, and I get the questions in when I can.
Go ahead, refresh us, Ben. Go ahead, refresh us.
So I do have a different way I want to go with kids, right? So how do you keep your child motivated to keep playing their sport they love? Because sometimes, they don't want to go practice and like, I don't feel like playing, I don't feel like doing these drills. They always looking for some type of shortcut. So what should parents play a part in keeping the kid motivated and interest in that particular sport? We'll start with you, Tracy. You the guest. Start with you.
I think the thing you have to remember the most is the minute that you start, and we have said this, the minute you start forcing them or making them do something, that just creates a issue. It makes them back away from the sport. I always say this with my son. I don't force him to play baseball. I don't force him to go out and practice. I always say, if you want to get better, you have to put the work in. So we always have 2 goals each season. What do you want to work on this season? And it's like, I just want to keep staying connected at the ball and be a little bit more faster than I was last season on the bases. I mean, he's pretty fast around the bases and stealing, but I always love his goals. And sometimes it's, I really want to be a little bit more aggressive at the plate than I was last season. He is not a, like, I'm going to rip your head off type player. He watches you, and a coach used to ask him, like, what are you doing? You're taking bats, but you're watching. He's like, I'm deciding on pitches, and I'm watching him throw, and I'm getting ready. For me, I always just remind them, if you're going to put the work in, you have to put the work in. And, you're never going to get better if you don't go out there. You can go out there for 10 to 30 minutes. It's just one of those things where you have to put the work in. And also with our daughter, she watches our son. She loves the sport just as much as he does. And so I think it's a great thing. I always say, hey, your sister really wants to go and practice, go do a bucket of balls. Because like I said, we have everything at the house you can think of. And it's a great motivation. There's some days I don't want to work out. There's some days I don't want to go to the gym, but I cannot complain about I gained 2 pounds. Well, I haven't even tried to prioritize working out or doing anything. So you got to put the work in. So,
Coach JP, what's your thoughts?
I completely disagree with everything Tracy said. I'm just kidding.
Like, okay.
No, actually, no. I think
you want to be nice or you want to fight.
No, I'm just kidding. I think that's a travel ball question and answer right there for your son. If your kid, if you have to encourage them to get up and put time and effort into something, they're not ready for travel ball. But then I also got to look, have they ever been taught how to make the game fun? Right. Sometimes you have to gamify things for kids, and hitting off of a tee is the fundamental basics of playing baseball. And that is the one thing that most young kids do not want to do, because the ball is relatively, it's not going far. The ball's going, 2 feet into the net. Kids are like, well, that's boring. I want to see how far I hit the ball. Well, when I'm coaching and we're doing tee drills, I'm pulling the tee away from some kids. I'm dropping the ball late. I'm pulling the ball up. I'm trying to find ways that now makes it a game for them to want to hit off of. Now, I think some situations, Ben, you've got a kid that's never found a way to make it fun. And so first question I always have to ask is, all right, when the kid says he don't want to do it, is the parent going out with them? All right. Because sometimes that kid needs someone to help them get them going. The thing that I hate most that I hear from parents is parents complain that their kids won't go out, but that parent has never made 1 ounce of effort to go out there with that kid. And my son needs me out there to get him going.
Mm-hmm.
I know that about my son. Now, if he said, Daddy, I want to go play travel ball, and I said, look, if you need my motivation to go practice, you're not ready for it yet, because it has to be in their heart. And again, there's some kids that are just thirsty for it. And those are rare, but there are kids out there that are thirsty for more and more and more. And that's not everybody, right?
And see, I was the kid growing up. My parents I taught myself softball. And I think just watching my brother as well with baseball. But my parents, I can honestly say, they never threw the ball with me, never practiced with me, never taught me anything. And I love them. They were just more career driven. They were of the mindset that, well, you're going to a coach and your coach is supposed to teach you. You know, kind of like I go to school, they're like, well, you're supposed to be learning this at school. We shouldn't have to help you. They were very like, homework shouldn't be at home. It should be at school. And I'm just of a different mindset. I will go out with my kid. I don't care if it's 23 degrees outside. I'm going to go out there with them. Now, I always say, you don't need me to go out there. You can do it. But there's times where if my son asks me, Mom, can I pitch to you? Abso-freaking-lutely. Yeah. Pitch to me all day. Show me your sliders. Let's go practice your knuckleball. Let's go do. I will not miss those opportunities because I know as a kid that didn't get that. And then also my parents, they came to maybe like 3 games of my season in 4 years. It's one of those things where I'm not going to miss, out on those little moments. So
yeah, that's true. Sometimes kids do need a little jump start to get a little motivated to go out there.
They need like a little push.
Yeah, but I noticed what Austin do. He remind me of myself sometimes when I was a kid. I used to put on sports highlights. And they'll always get my adrenaline pumping when I see the top athletes doing what they love. And that made me want to go out there and play. I remember this one specific time. I'll never forget this. I was watching NFL films because I love football. And I was watching Jerry Rice and Barry Sanders and Deion Sanders. And literally I started crying because it was so beautiful how good they was at the game when I watched Jerry Rice run his routes and Barry Sanders juke. And tears.
Linda's liking these lines right now.
Right, man, dude. I was like,
she's loving it.
I like,
Deion Sanders is Coach Aaron's like favorite. Like I love him because of his attitude. I want that attitude.
Right.
That's why
it's kind of like Angel Reese. I know a lot of people don't like Angel Reese, but I'm like, I love her.
I love
grit.
Angel Reese.
I love her grit and attitude.
I don't even know who that is. Who is
she's on Reese's Puffs now. You can go get a box.
Yeah, she's on the Reese's Puffs box.
She's a top WNBA player.
I had it.
Oh,
it's like a whole burger at McDonald's. It's
WNBA.
Really?
Yeah, still a thing. Okay.
Toronto Tempo starting next season. Can't wait. I got to get myself a Toronto Tempo gear.
It's just like, while I walk in the living room, he watching Ken Griffey. That's his favorite player is Ken Griffey. So he watching his highlights, and next he trying to go outside, and he always like, I want to get to the game early. So I can say that about him. Like he always wanting.
He's got that hustle. That's my son's favorite player too, Ken Griffey Jr. Which we still have. We have the old school Nintendos. I don't know if y'all remember those.
Yeah.
Tell me you have Traci.
We have
you will be my friend
old
for
school
life.
Nintendo games. Do I?
If you have RBI Baseball 2, you will be my new friend.
RBI Baseball. It's one of them.
That was a part 2.
RBI
they have
Baseball
all of
2.
those games, and my son was like, he loves them, and I knew my husband kept them for a reason, but I was like, I love it. I mean, it's so fun.
It's nothing like an old school baseball game. Now it's too complicated.
It's too technology. It's just too,
There's 15 buttons I got to push to make this thing
I just
work.
want to catch the ball.
No, so I
is it complicated or you're just not good at it?
Whoa.
Well, I did 10 times. I'll play with the Cubs. He's a Yankees fan. And I hit 10 bombs off of him, so I can play a little bit. I just can't figure out how to throw it to first base on time. Like I gotta get into the meter. Yeah, I'm talking about you. He come around the corner, look at me like I'm lying. Yeah, he knows it. So it's just I'm trying to throw it to first base, and you gotta get in the meter throw it.
Mhm.
Sometimes
You got to line it up.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just like, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get
Nah,
it. So,
whatever.
but
Mhm.
so after a bad loss, how do parents talk to their kids after losing a big game? Austin, he takes it hard after a loss. He don't want nobody
Yeah.
talking to him. I'm like, man, you want to get some McDonald's? You want to, you know, I'm trying to cheer him up. You know, how do parents handle that? Or a coach handle talking to kids after a bad loss, especially a big loss in a tournament play or something like that?
I think as a parent, we have a rule in our car. If the hat is on, don't talk. Like nothing. Like just don't ask anything. If the hat is off, he's ready to open up, about it. And my son's probably like your son. He takes those losses hard. He doesn't cry or anything. Like he's cried at one game, and it was, a championship game. They had made it. I mean, they were undefeated the whole season. He worked his butt off. He robbed somebody's home run, and it was such a good moment. He got in the car. He's like, I did everything I could, but it wasn't good enough. And it was the season before we left. And so I think as a parent, you have to remember those car rides are so crucial. And I used to be the mom that in the beginning, because I was so new to travel ball, I would say, why did you do this? Or why did you do that? And going back and forth, not realizing he's out there playing and I'm making it seem like what he was playing was not good enough. Now, if he's just standing in the fields picking daisies, then yeah, I'm going to tell him, what were you doing? Like, what's going on? But I think you just have to remember those car rides are so crucial, especially when they're young. And then even when they're a little bit older, you want to make sure what you say, you relate to them. You don't make them hate it even more.
I totally agree because it's easy just to critique from the bleachers, like why you didn't throw it here or why you didn't catch the ball here. I think it's always mindful to let them have their time and open up to you when they are ready to, because we all play sports and it's tough to talk about a game, especially a big game, after a loss. So I always try to be mindful and ask them, like, so what you think of the game? Just to get where his mindset at about what happened and what could they done. And I just try to pick their brain and try to see, where their mindset is at that time. What about you, Coach AP?
I've been the coach that's had to address a team after, like a hard fought tournament. I think our roles as parents is we got to find some positive. As a coach, look, dude, after that game, I'm just as crushed as those kids are. But if I go out there and I show those kids frustration, that's the same thing that they're going to do. If I go out there and I just overwhelm them with the plays that were made on the field, who played well, maybe it's I sometimes I even acknowledge the kids that don't make a major play, but they do something different out of their character, right? And as a parent, I'm gonna tell you that ride home is the reason I stopped playing baseball. It got when I was in high school, that drive home made me want to hang my glove up, and I did. But for my son, I've made the mistake. He's got in the car, and I've made the mistake of saying, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? But, there's a Coach Ball Game. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not.
Oh, love him.
Like I got to know him a little bit, and I stole all kind of my ways to do things from him. And, I just, with kids want to know, kids don't want to know they did bad. They already know it themselves. And I think a lot of times it's us redirecting that negativity into a way of, hey, look, here's what I told some kids earlier today. Every game you play until you get to high school is practice. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what tournament you're in, whether you get this nice, shiny, red, gold ring, whatever, it's practice, because it doesn't matter. Now, when you get to high school, that's a lot different. That's why you don't have to go travel ball to make it up there. It's really about what you do in the high school days. And but no, man, it's just there's some games where we buried it on the field and we didn't talk about it again. Because sometimes I knew it hurt him, so much. And I'm like, you know what, if he brings it up to me, I'll talk about it. But if not, that game's done. Because that's another thing is you don't want to teach your kid to constantly second guess themselves. And they need to know that, look, we're all going to make mistakes. And as soon as parents start to realize and have a little humility with their kids and say, you know what, I made that same mistake. Or whatever. I mean, kids just want to know that you still love them at the end of the day. And, if they're upset, I try not to on that drive home. Really, I turn the music up. Like that's when the music goes up and probably a song that he loves is coming on. And this season is going to be Squabble Up or Turn the TV off. So, but that's to me, it's like, look, I will coach when I need to coach. And outside of that, everything else, man, it's just playtime.
Yeah, especially after bad loss, can't dwell on it too much, guys. Destroy the confidence. And I think Austin brought that up during your show, Coach AP, how, when he messed up on one pitch, he's like, I gotta forget about the pitch, pitch. And he came a long way because he's dwell on his bad games, but now I think he tried to have a more positive outlook of the things he did well in the game. Then when he get to practice, like, okay, we can work on the stuff that we messed up on. Yeah. And I think that's very important to start off with the positive, like what they did right.
Every game there's some positive. Every game there's some positive.
That's a positive. You got to point out something.
You got to look for them, right? When you're in the stands and you're watching those kids play, look for things that's different.
Well, I think some parents are so focused on if they hit, oh, did you hit? Well, if you didn't hit, then you didn't do good. And that's completely opposite. It's like, I used to have this mindset, like, I just want him to get a good hit instead. And we worked with a sports mental health trainer and everything. And he was so great. He said, no. He's like, you want him to go up there and the goal is to make contact, but his worth is not in that. And I came from that where my worth was always in sports. If I didn't do good in this, then I wasn't worthy of it. And
that was your validation.
That was my validation. And it was hard because I was so good in those two areas. I was a great softball player. I was a great power lifter. And I had so much pressure from coaches, and then I had to perform. And it's, if I didn't perform, then I got the wrath of I'm not good enough. And so I've always wanted him to understand that you cannot hit, but you made great plays. You backed up, you did all this stuff. There's positives, like Aaron said, in every single kind of game, Yes. And I think that's where parents should focus more on.
Yeah. I mean, look, you get kids come up to bat. My son is one of them. Line drives a ball to shortstop, right? Kid catches it, makes a good play.
Yeah.
My son gets mad, throws his bat down, and I'm like, listen, all right, first of all, you made contact. Second of all, you made great contact. Sometimes you just hit the ball right at somebody. And what there's two things is I try to let my players and my son know that, hey, that team over there, they have a responsibility just like you do. Right. So like,
it's their job to stop that ball.
Right. Right. Because that's what I do is I flip it on him. I flip it on him. And I'm like, well, if you were on the other side, wouldn't you want to get you out? Yeah. Here's something that I feel like we as society have got to do a better job. And this goes from kids to adults, is teach kids control what you can control. Right. All right. Listen, I'm a big yard nut. I care about my grass and all this stuff. I used to get mad when it didn't rain outside. All right.
You're like me. I've got expensive grass.
Right, Coach JP, I need you to come take care of my lawn.
Well, but I would invest time and energy and frustration into something that I had no control over. And so with my son, I learned that lesson late in life. or later. But I want him to understand. I'm like, look, all right, first of all, could you control it? Well, he dropped the pass and we lost. This happened last season in football. No, you could not control it. You wasn't involved on that play. So again, like, we have to control and focus our time and attention on things that we could have controlled. That way, that's where practice comes in. Is we get better at practice. We make better plays, right? But that's how you can control that, is through your practice. And again, like Tracy said earlier, look, if you're not willing to put the time, and I tell my son, look, he'll get ready for a football game because he's more into football now. And he was like, well, we're not going to beat this team in the hell. I just take my stuff and I throw it down in the floor. And I'm like, hell, if you've quit already, I'm not going to go coach. Like, because I can't have that attitude out there. And it's just that constant reinforcement.
But you also see it in the pros too, Coach. Like, as a big soccer fan, one thing that drives me absolutely nuts for the Champions League final, or even the World Cup final, the second place team gets a medal, and every single player immediately takes that medal off. And how are you supposed to?
I saw a video of that. Why?
I've never seen that before.
Oh, there are hundreds of videos of that.
You take a look up. What's it? We said Champions League.
Yeah, UEFA Champions League. The final, the medal presentation. Even the World Cup final. Actually, World Cup final, France Argentina. France lost, and I noticed that Kylian Mbappe, who was the captain of France, did not take his medal off. And to me,
that was the one I saw. Yeah.
But I mean, this is a practice that's been going on forever. And one thing that I noticed, I can't remember if LeBron was on Miami or Cleveland, when he was in Cleveland the first time, but lost in a finals and immediately did not shake hands with the rest with the winning team.
Cleveland.
I might have been Cleveland. And it starts from that. Obviously these guys are role models. Then what's the time-honored practice for baseball, and I'm sure softball as well, is at the end of every game, each team right at home plate, they go and shake hands. Why don't they do that at the World Series? Why don't they do that at the play? I mean, in the playoffs, you win a wild card series, and they're doing the champagne party in the locker room.
Yeah.
So, what am I missing here? Let's.
It just, sports is weird, man. Everybody had their own thing about losing and winners, and I know because
in professional,
I'm an old school guy.
For it.
Yeah, I'm an old school guy. So if I didn't win the championship, then I don't celebrate anything. Not second place, not third place. And
you're probably like me. I don't believe in participation.
Yeah, so
trophies.
It was kind of funny.
Don't give me one of those.
It was kind of funny, but it wasn't funny. My son, they was in a basketball tournament. It was just a city league, and they lost in championship game. And of course, the first place team get a ring, and second place got a ring. And he was like, "At least I got a ring." I'm like, but it's second place though. I was like, it's second, it's not. He was looking at a positive, but I'll be net because I wanted to beat the team. Come out, my friend, he was the coach of the team that they were playing against. So I had a little stake in that because we were talking noise and everything. So he was like, I got second place. We got a ring though. Like, yeah, we're second place. So it just
look,
it was like
at any time if he loses at one of those, tell him to call me. I'll order him one of those rings.
They're $3 on Amazon. I mean,
and that's where giving kids the right, like pushing them in the right angle of saying it's not about the ring, right? It's about that personal accomplishment. And this is so easy to say, but impossible almost to teach a kid. But like, it's when you get that good hit, do you remember all those times you were on the tee hitting and freaking your hands were tired, right? It's teaching kids like, all right, look, like my son now with football, he never did this kind of stuff with baseball. Like he's drawing his own plays. He's coming in there wanting me to see things. And that's that fight and that drive and that hunger for him. And if you're, and again, every kid don't have that. And sometimes kids push the sport on their kid that they wanted to play, but the kid don't have. And I'm going to shut up after this because I will talk forever, but every scout every coach that I have talked to since starting the show, every single one of them has said, let your kids play multiple sports.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I would say to you too, Ben, is if you do go travel ball, your coaches are probably going to want them to stay all year round. And
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
what I
some coaches won't let the kids play another sport.
So ours was like
that's
that.
why I was telling him
You couldn't play another sport during his sport.
His best sport is baseball. His second sport is football, then basketball. But he want to play all three. But I was telling him, like, if you don't make those teams, you just need to focus on baseball. Like, if that's your first love, give that all the attention. Then if you still want to do the other two, then do it. But don't get bummed out if basketball and baseball, football and baseball, cross each
Well,
other.
they're kids, and it's going to change. I mean, we took this year off because he just really wanted to play with friends locally, and I felt bad because I said I always give him an option. Do you want to go back to travel, or do you want to play with your friends? And he said, "Can I make the decision myself?" And and I said, "Yeah." He's like, "I want to go play with my friends. I just want to have fun again." And I said, "Okay." And he wants to still pick up, which is the most great schedule for me because literally we can get offers, and we got an offer to pick up with a team, and I was like, "Do you want to?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll go pitch." And he can say yes or no, which is so nice. But they change their mind on so many different sports and activities. And like this year, I think in the fall, we typically play travel ball. We don't do basketball or anything. He knows basketball. He loves it. But he's doing mountain bike racing, which, I mean, he's a great racer. Will not ride a roller coaster, but has no problem going down these long hills and doing these air jumps. And me, I can't even make it down a little tiny one without thinking I'm going to fall over or something. But it's fun to watch them just kind of grow into their own and enjoy the sport and make those decisions. And, they're tiny little humans. So.
Let me go to the chat
Traci,
real quick.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. Banga, Coach. He said, "What's up, Coach AP?"
Who said that?
Banga from the Banganator podcast.
Oh, yeah. What's up, dude? The Cowboys fan.
Yeah, the Cowboys fan. He come in and he said, if you want to be good, do multiple sports. If you want to be great, focus on one sport. And when they start developing later on.
Oh, I look, I'm sorry, dude. Maybe this is why you're a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Don't be mad at that.
I'm just messing.
A hard time.
That's having a hard year.
Listen, but no, here's the reason why multiple sports. And this is like, so a scout will say, are they a baseball player or they're an athlete? They're not recruiting baseball players.
Yeah.
They're recruiting athletes.
Really?
And what separates it is, all right, kids these days at age 12, 13, 14 are already having Tommy John surgery and are destroying their growth plates. And what happens is, all right, so think about it. All right, you're a pitcher, you start 9U, your dad puts you out there on the mound. For the next 10 years, this is your motion. Now, what happens when you wear out a tire? Right? You got to replace it. Well, what multiple sports do is it gives your body different ranges of motion. So, all right, so think basketball, all right? So when I pass the basketball, I'm moving with my upper body, right? Yeah. I've got to move with the ball, all right? That comes into play with a swing, right? If I'm playing football and I'm learning these different drills, all these sports feed together into helping you become a better, more rounded player, meaning you're less likely for an injury because your body is used to multiple movements and different ranges of motion. And that's why, like, when you get a kid and he's baseball, that's what he loves. Well, if he don't take breaks, his body is wearing.
Coach,
that's interesting.
As you were saying that, it is amazing how sports science has just took over all of sports. But I mean, from a time of the 80s, 70s, 60s, where you saw pitchers go the full 9 innings. I mean, as baseball fans, we can remember Jack Morris in the '91 World Series.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about that World
So
Series.
are you are you a Braves fan?
I was definitely pulling for him when Ron Gant got pulled up off the base during that World Series.
Oh, of course, Kent Herbeck. Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But now pitchers are with the pitch count. I mean, Steven Strasburg off the top of my head,
Horrible injuries.
Horrible injuries. But Tommy John surgery was just a one-off 30 years ago. Now it happens all the time. Why is that? Is it because they're working too hard in the gym?
They're being overused in
reps,
in travel ball or rec. There's a thing called Little League arm too, where our friend got that. But I remember we had a friend, her son had Tommy John surgery. He was 16 years old. It was right before he had surgery, right before or right after, I think he got offered a full scholarship to JUCO. And I thought, he's 16 years old and already having Tommy John. And as a mom that, my son pitches as well, that's scary. And, it's one of those things where you have to really trust the coach, but you also have to trust yourself as a parent that you're not going to let certain things happen, because there are coaches out there, whether it's travel or rec league, because you can get on a rec team and you can get on a stacked team. Basically, the coach picked our rec team is a stacked team. It's just, we had a kid say that, and I thought, yeah, they're all really, they all play travel ball together.
That was my son's team. His red team was stacked.
They're all playing travel ball together, and they're all stacked, and it's just part of it. And some don't like that, but
are 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds allowed to throw curveballs? Because in my day, when I had to walk to school uphill both ways with the snow up to here, I mean, we weren't allowed to throw a curveball.
You can throw it in technically you can throw it in non-U in our area, at least. It's technically
you can throw it because we weren't allowed to throw until we were 16.
It's all based it's all based on coaches and parents. I talked to a parent last week that their son don't do anything other than an off speed and a fastball.
Yeah, that's Austin right now. I don't know if he know how to throw a curveball. I don't think he do, but he just throw off pitches and stuff.
Yeah, look, that's the only 2 pitches your kid needs right now. And until they hit a growth spurt and their growth plates start to solidify. Now, granted, look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it just takes you don't want to overwork it, right? And the reason why that curveball is because that stress pulling that ball down is causing more pull on your arm than what's needed. Some kids,
which people don't know as a trainer, the roto is what we call it. It's a miserable surgery.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I mean, it's just amazing to me because we have this rule in here in Toronto, Canada, in the early 90s, and I'm sure it was all throughout Little League programs throughout here, and I'm sure it did exist in the United States, where you cannot throw a curveball until you are 16. I even was an umpire.
Hear that all the time. I used to hear that.
Yeah, you heard it too. So I mean, obviously, but it falls on deaf ears.
It could be varied by states, but I remember my friend, he's played baseball a lot, and they always talking about you shouldn't be throwing that curveball and all that type of stuff.
I mean, it's also how do you work out? Do you train? Do you use bands? Are you working those additional muscles? I mean, look, when you start,
are you taking additional things? I mean, we had a guy, he's a kid. I won't say the name or anything because I mean he's a kid, and his dad got arrested for giving him steroids. I want to guess how old he is.
I don't want to know. 9. Oh God.
Yeah.
Now see,
and I thought
that's not surprising to me.
But Chow and I talked about that.
That's very surprising to me. That's crazy.
Because I remember when I was in high school, obviously I did powerlifting, and powerlifting worked out with the baseball players. I mean, my brother did steroids in high school.
Whoa.
When you got to baseball, it was just it was a normal thing. As
Yeah, it was,
normal as it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
it was a normal thing. And so we worked out with all these, we were all 14 years old. All of them had already been on steroids. And I just thought to myself, and they tried to give me something, and I thought, no, I can't do that. But Chow and I talked about that. She has Baseball Mom TX account, and I thought, we're not shocked. I think I'm just not shocked anymore about the length that some parents will go to for their kid. You know, they will go to the ends of the earth to do anything. Sometimes when it comes to travel ball, they'll do anything for their kids, and it may be illegal. And it, yeah,
that's where like they'll do anything for themselves.
yeah,
Like,
yes. I was going to say, not
I know what you mean.
I look at that kid doesn't even know. Like, I saw some of the, you know, because not all energy drinks are good for you. There is a reason why there's a label on it. And we had this issue with a kid on our team and everything. His mom was giving him something, and I said, whoa, this has, I'm not trying to step on parenting, but I said, this has stuff in it that can cause him to have a heart attack. And she's like, yeah, but it'll give him energy on the field. And I'm like, yeah, he's going to have energy and then he's going to die.
He's a kid. He doesn't need energy.
Okay. I said, there's things in there that she couldn't even pronounce. And I was like, this gives you this is for this. And this is really going to hurt his heart, his young heart.
You're talking about something like more stronger than Red Bull, it sounds like, because I mean, like, you're not talking about Coca-Cola or.
I'm not talking about Coca-Cola.
No.
I'm not talking about like chugging a sugar-free Red Bull. I think Red Bull is mild considering.
No kidding.
I mean, compared to some of the energy drinks that they have out. And I think a lot of it just comes from Bang is a really big one.
Yeah. I don't even let Austin drink energy drinks. He don't need it. I told him, like, well, you tired? You a kid. Go to bed. Go to bed. You want
kids are born with natural energy. They don't need any extra.
Eat the best energy. I tell my kid, you want a really big energy serve, get some gummy bears, take about 5 gummy bears, or get a Rice Krispie treat. That is the quickest carb energy fuel that you need. You don't need all this other junk, you know. You don't need coffee or anything like that. It's just, but
no damn
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
What Aaron was saying, I know, like, parents will do whatever they can for themselves without thinking of the kids and
make it
the effect that it has on them. Yeah.
I do have another question. I'm gonna go with Linda on this one. So we know about AAU ball with basketball, then travel baseball, and we know about 7-on-7 football. Do you think social media and highlight culture contribute to individualistic mindset in young athletes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it contributes to that individualistic mindset across the board, but especially when it comes to kids in sports, because guess who are the main people on TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's true. That's true. And to be honest, that's why I don't really want my son, Austin, he's the youngest, to have social media, because it has an impression on them young minds of, oh, I need to do this to be a better athlete, or I need to do this to be so and so. What about you, Randy? You think that plays a part in the individualistic mindset in today's athlete?
Look, what positive thing happens with teenagers, preteens, and social media? I mean, I'm sorry. I like, you know,
the Slide podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
That's
don't
it.
forget Voice of the Fans Sportcast, Voice of the Fans
Yeah,
Canada.
We had a couple of
Absolutely.
kids on before.
Yeah, but look, social media, I am so thankful I am my age, because if I had social media as a teenager, I wouldn't have made it past my 21st birthday. Okay. It's just, you know, it's all self-gratification. It's all, hey, look at me. I mean, you know, imagine the Bill Buckner error, if that happened in social media.
Oh man.
Okay. You know, and imagine if he was a teenager in a rival high school in said state, where sports is the first, second, and third most important thing, to happen, to take place in that community. So yeah, it's there that much pressure from whenever we were teenagers to the pressures today, like kids today.
It's a lot
It is,
different. Like I
yeah,
didn't
it's
have social
way too
media
hard.
growing up, so
We
for me
had
it's a little
MySpace.
different. I did not have a MySpace actually. I had an AOL
Oh,
account.
Tom.
Oh,
Oh,
you
I
had
know.
AOL account
AOL,
in the,
I
yeah,
had
Messenger?
sure.
AOL. Yeah, I had AOL.
Okay,
No
so
clue who I was even talking to. I mean, I
sure.
highly doubt he was 13 from California.
Or
But
he
it's
was a
so
he.
Right.
yeah. But it's funny because I used to do social media for this brand, and part of it was, helping out on their TikTok and everything. And it's interesting what I think when it goes back to like the social media and and everything. And I think it's great, to highlight. I think maybe when they're more mature, but there's a lot of downfall to it. I mean, even as, what they're putting on social media. I always tell my son, once you put it out there, it's out there. It's
Sure.
great to look at the highlights and everything like that, but social media can be like good and bad when it comes
Yeah.
to your game, because I think some people get so hyper focused on watching the highlights and watching. And also, here's another thing I think people like, especially when they're an athlete and everything, you can have people get on, say you can post a hitting video. Some athlete or some person will get on there and say, you're not
doing
doing
it
that
wrong.
right. You're not swinging that right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
to
I got the
me,
perfect example. I'm
it's just
sorry.
infuriating. So
I mean, social media, the plane crash that happened in Washington, D.C., and Nancy Kerrigan, former figure skater, gives a press conference and she is crying because so many of those victims were figure skaters. And
yeah.
how many social media comments were linking her crying to when she got attacked by Tanya Harding?
What?
Okay.
No way.
Oh, come on. I mean, it was all over. I mean, like the first 30,
Really?
40, like, absolutely. I mean, because like I am very, very aware and cognizant and scared. Like, I don't want to go too far into the sports of this conversation, but, social media is just a pit of negativity. And,
Yeah.
like, uh, I mean, you see any sort of comment, and we don't know where these comments are coming from. We don't know if it's a
You don't know if it's a
12-year-old
bot
kid.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't know
Right.
if it's a bot. You don't know any, and it's a horrible place. And I really truly believe that teenagers should not have social media accounts. Like, I mean, YouTube. Okay, you know what, YouTube, or not be allowed to
I think
comment.
YouTube has gotten worse too, if I'm being
Well,
Yeah,
honest.
and it
yeah,
has. It
It's,
yeah.
absolutely
I think
has.
everything is just
Because
My take, Ben. I think there is as many negatives as there is positives. I think I and Randy, just to clarify, when you said, what are these kids doing, and I said the Slide Podcast is because I've got a team of 24 kids that are a part of our podcast, and they create their own content and all this stuff, right? But
I
what
see.
I'll tell
Okay.
you about those kids is 90% of them or more, maybe 85 to 90% of them, their social profiles are being controlled by mom and dad. And they're just doing it because here's social media can help you. Social media can help when you're posting these highlights and, a team wants to pick you up, or you get an opportunity because, you get invited to this special event. Sometimes things like that happen. Here's the bad side is, all right, I'm a kid, I'm Austin, right? And, I want to throw this curve ball, and this kid who's 11 is throwing this curve ball, or this kid, Tracy's kid, who is 10, throwing this curve ball. And now what's wrong with me?
Yeah, well,
I can tell you from having an 18-year-old daughter that in her eyes, everyone lived a perfect life except her. right? Because nobody is ever honest with social media. Nobody posts true, like everybody only posts the great stuff, right?
It's a
Right.
highlight.
It's
It's
a
never
highlight.
like the
So
real messy stuff. It's a highlight.
ESPN.
But a lot of people, yeah.
But
That's-
everybody lives in a glass house, but nobody wants to show true colors, right? And so that leaves those insecure people, kids, and there's so many of them because of social media that
Well,
we're
it's like I got backlash. I got some comments that were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you talked about on Aaron's podcast about your son being cut. Like I would never talk about that." But I'm like, "But that's reality.
Yeah.
That's reality of it. Like it happens, and it had nothing to do with skills. And if it was skills, I wouldn't be too mad about it. I'd be like, well, go work harder. A lot of it was more political, and it worked out. It was the best. I always say it was the best thing that ever happened. And I told him, you can have one day to kind of just be in your feelings. Tomorrow, work harder and go out there and show it. But people were so upset. They're like, I would never talk about that. I'm like, but I do. I talk about the good moments with sports. I talk about the bad moments with sports. I'm not afraid to talk about the bad things with health and fitness. I'm not afraid to talk about the good things with health and fitness. You know, there's great things in health and fitness, but there's also a lot of bull crap that's in it as well that gets put out there on social media. You know, it's the same with, you know, sports and baseball and the teams. There's great teams, but there's also some not so great teams, you know, and there's not some great coaches.
And now with NIL deals and brands and our money,
I
was just
yeah,
it's getting outrageous.
Dude, a 13-year-old signed an NIL deal. I mean, there's a kid that's like 10 years old signed an NIL deal to play video games.
Jeez.
See, I think that's too much. Now, I think if they're in college or high school to college, I think because like I said, it wasn't a big thing when I was growing up. Back in 2004 to 2008, it wasn't like a huge thing. But I look at it now and I look at, can it help your brand? Can it help you go further in your career? You have to make sure, like, and this is something I do as a sports creator, or I don't even like using the word influencer. I just create stuff.
Right.
You want to partner with a brand that aligns with you. I've had to end partnerships with brands that, you know, maybe morally we just didn't see eye to eye on it. We agreed to disagree on things. I didn't believe in their product. I just couldn't do that. And I think with the NIL deals, I think it comes down to the player making the smart decision and also counseling their parents of, is this the right fit for them? Because there's sometimes I think people take the brand deals and then they forget the whole sport and they just, you know, they go a different path, or it gets to their head. They feel like they are untouchable almost, you know, because they have so much going on.
God, that was happened to Mickey. I forgot what Mickey's last name, but he was a basketball player, and then all his highlights was posted on social media, and you know, he become a big social media star. He's really good at basketball. I ain't taking that away from him, but he become really big in social media, and kind of went to his head. He started making really bad decisions. Then one night, this person drove into his driveway, and he started shooting at the car for whatever reason. I don't know. He was trying to show out for social media or the gram, and he ended up getting arrested and doing the whole ordeal.
I'm not trying to lay a joke here, Swift, but I mean, was that before or after John Morant when he was flashing? No, I'm being serious.
It was kind of. It might. I can't
because
really
I mean,
remember.
like you know,
I want to say maybe it might have been kind of in a similar timeline because of the stuff happening with him and John Morant. But he ended up he ended up at USC on the bench. Like the dude was a star. He used to play with Bronny in high school. So that's how he was buried in Bronny. Like he was in the starting rotation. And this, you know, his downfall just trickled. He just started making bad decisions.
It went to his head. I think that's what the main thing I used to, when it came to like NIL deals. And I keep up with some basketball. Like I love Angel Reese. I do. And I know some people don't like her. I have family members that are like, how could you like her personality? And I'm like, because I was that type of player. I was that cutthroat player. I'm going to get in your head. I'm going to do everything I can to throw you off. Now, I wonder where my son gets his competitiveness from.
Mhm.
It makes sense now. But they were saying, because she's the Bayou Barbie and she's this and she's got all these brand deals, like it went to her head. And I'm like, I don't view it that way. I think it can go to your head. I think you always have to just stay humble. But, I think it's great that they they take advantage of it. Let's be honest. I mean, it's expensive when they're in college and we don't know their financial and everything. I think you should market yourself in the best way and partner with the best brands that fit for you. I always have this saying when I get like brand offers, don't take things for the money. Like look into the brand, truly believe in the brand. I have partnerships that I truly believe in, and if I don't believe in it, I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to word of mouth it. I'm not going to recommend it. Nothing. I don't care how much money you pay me. There's a brand out there that I don't know if they've approached Aaron about it, but it's like a shoe insole. And some girl that I knew, she was like, "Oh, you should partner with them. They're gonna pay me like this amount of money." And I'm like, I would rather go to Walmart and get Dr. Scholl's for like $10 to $20 than pay $200 and something for some shoe insoles that I just don't believe in. I don't
I'm
care
buying
how
new
much money
shoes.
you're gonna.
Yeah, that's what I think. Just get $200
Yeah.
shoes, get some Aces
I'm like,
or some what's a hope.
you have to believe in what you believe in, and so I think the NIL deals are great. I mean, that's
No,
just me
yeah.
personally, but
Here's
You know, and
my opinion. I'm sorry, Randy. I
yeah,
always
yeah, no, for sure.
when they start teaching these kids finance in school, I'll be
Right.
okay with it. Because like Tracy, I agree with you. Like parents, you need to be involved. But here's the problem: is there ain't too many lawyers in all these kids' homes, and I've heard horror stories already where kids have like jumped on the first thing, either in high school, getting ready for college, and then they're left with this obligation that now is not beneficial to them. And like that's the whole thing is, like everything Tracy said. But you know what? It's a contract that you're signing that you as an individual are responsible for. And
you have to read every word of it.
Oh my God, don't take anything as face value. Because there's loopholes and things there. I mean, kids now that are being recruited for college. I was talking to a softball trainer or hitting coach trainer, and he was telling me that one softball college, like a D2 school, offered a girl $50,000. But then another one offered her $6,000. And then it's, I mean, we're putting a lot of expectations on kids right now. And I just, man.
I have to ask, before NIL, now obviously I'm coming from a place where college sports does not exist. And, when during the time before NIL, weren't they being approached by the boosters? Weren't they being approached? Like, if I recall, wasn't it LeBron James driving a Hummer?
Hummer in high school.
Yeah, and obviously LeBron was going to get his bag, and because for somebody who wasn't really familiar with NIL deals and so on until recently, you think about Maurice Claret, who was just running it in college, and then he tried to declare early for the draft, and that didn't happen, and just his life just spiraled into nothing.
Yeah.
And a clear example, Bobby Hurd, who just ran it in Duke, was an absolute legend. And within his third week of pro ball, gets into that serious car accident and was never the same. So, I mean, to Tracy's point, you think about, how much are they going to veer off with NIL deals? I mean, to me, I think that they were already on the way to the gutter in the first place.
Well, the problem is every state has different rules. Every state's got different laws. There's no consistency across the board. There's no go to this source for the right answer. The government needs to play a bigger role. And I've never said the government needs to play a bigger role in anything, but some NCAA, someone has to get involved to remove the BS.
Yeah, it
Randy,
needs to
Yeah.
be regulated. 'Cause a lot
Yeah.
of kids are taking advantage of it, and they jumping from one school one year to another school.
Oh,
Cause
my.
another school gave them more money, so
Oh.
it's like
Mhm.
it's hurting their stats too, and hurting the program, because boatload of kids
Mhm.
jumped into transfer portal to go after more money. Like the quarterback from Georgia, Carson Beck, he going to
Oh yeah.
what school was it? Yeah, Miami.
He
He
was
going
at
to the
he
U.
was at Georgia. Now
Yeah.
he's at Florida. Is he at Miami?
Because of his girlfriend, and they gave
Oh,
him
the
what,
Cadaver twins.
million somewhere around there.
4 million.
4 million. I was like,
But
the
Archie
dude ain't that
Manning,
good. First of all,
Archie Manning made $2 million his freshman year that he redshirted, and he didn't play a snap.
so the thing is, so how you coach a
Because it's
kid that
Manning.
make
It's Manning.
yeah, that's me.
It's
Yeah.
the name.
That's my issue with NIL deals. How do I coach a kid that making 4 million? What can I say to him to get him back on track? To like, hey, you're like, well, I'm making 4 million on there
Because they're
listen to
looking
you.
at you like, I'm making 4 million.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell me? It's almost
Yeah.
like it's questioning
Literally.
your credentials in it when you're trying to just help them.
Well, it's like Nick Saban going to try to coach in the NFL, right? In college, he has the ability to demand excellence from these kids.
Mhm.
Control.
He goes coaches in the NFL, and these guys are looking at him like, "Who the hell are you? Like,
I
you
make
ain't gonna
millions
talk
of
to me
dollars.
like this." But Randy, to your point though, before the NIL, yes, boosters were always involved, and there ain't a national champion before NIL that I'd bet everything I've ever made that if they're a national champion, they gave money to somebody. But the problem now with NIL is this money. Where's this money coming from? Well, me as a booster, I can say, well, hey, Ben, I'm going to pay your NIL, and we're going to pretend like you're like doing this stuff for me, but I'm really just going to be paying you. And like, there's no regulations whatsoever, and it's turned into a sport with no salary cap.
Yes.
And a rich school can bury a school that's just trying to compete. It's
And
like
clearly,
it's the New York Yankees.
and clearly
feel
sorry, Swift, go ahead.
I was about to say, I felt with boosters, it wasn't out in the open, so it was more hush hush underneath the table. So they couldn't act out like, well, I got all this money from the boosters. They couldn't really say that. Got the NCAA will come down hard on them for paying their athletes. So it was a little bit more controlled environment with the boosters. Cause you like, hey, you gotta keep this quiet. They don't give you this money, you know what I'm saying? Don't be bragging or don't be riding around these expensive rides. It's like, look, kind of keep it low key and do your thing. Well, here's the money.
Yeah, now we
play
can
the
just
long
openly-
game.
Yeah, play the
long
long game.
Now we openly just flaunt it to these
We
kids.
can Google it and see who's making the most money in college football.
Is
kinda
there-
crazy.
I'm shocked by 4 million. That like
Yes.
I mean, I know professional football, like any professional sport, is a lot. Like, I mean, I look at the Ohtani contract and I just think in my head, where'd that money come from?
Well, they
Like,
ain't paid him yet, and they don't have to. His contract is back end
Yeah.
loaded,
It's-
so he gets $2 million a year until his last year, and then he gets the remaining. That's the smartest.
My Blue Jays got so sewered from that. I can't like it's
That's the most
So close,
that's the most
Randy.
genius.
I mean,
that's the most genius
close
contract I've ever seen.
Close my foot. Listen, I do not go on Twitter at all, period. I get my news for like the traditional sense with the TV, my local news. I don't go on Twitter.
Yeah.
That day when the plane was in the air and I was on Twitter, I don't even want to talk about it, man. I'm like so pissed. But anyway, yeah.
Funny. Yeah.
Now I'm
Is
hearing
there-
Vladdy may be out. Is Vladdy?
Yeah,
leaving?
Yeah, I heard he
That's
wasn't
the-
signing yet. He
That's the
didn't get
rumor
his deal
too.
done.
Like,
Well,
yeah, okay. And very quick, I mean, is he worth $400 million? I mean,
I don't know.
I don't even know how-
Are.
Otani 700. Like, I mean, Otani is a unicorn. I don't know how Juan Soto can get 700 sheets.
Man, dude.
Yeah.
Somebody explain that to me.
I mean, it just.
Here's what makes me sick out of all of it, and I'm gonna go back to NIL just for a minute.
I do have a question about that.
They actually, you can see a report that will value this person based on their following, based on the platforms that they're on, and it'll give each player a value that they have. And that's the wrong message to teach kids these days. It's, oh my
It's
God.
not about the follower.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not-
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
And
a
I
follower
mean-
or are you a freaking leader? And we need to develop more leaders in this country.
Yeah.
Question for the room. Is there a possibility where NIL payments can come from the association that or the conference?
I don't
the
think they'd like
Pac-12?
it. I don't think they would like it, but that would
Yeah, I don't
regulate
think so.
things.
I think it would be a little bit more controlled if it did.
Mhm.
So if I was a billionaire booster and I'm coming from Florida State University and
Trash.
I'm sorry, that was the first school that came to my
I
mind. I don't know why. I'm from Canada, okay? I
Which is funny because
It's so-
I'm watching the Swamp Kings or something. I'm watching the Florida State football, like when Tim Tebow was there.
Oh, that's
super
Gators.
interesting. Oh,
That's
the Gators.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm like, holy cow! Like,
Yeah, I got to
Either.
shout out my man Scotty Barnes, you know what I mean? But anyway, like, okay, so I have money to burn and I'm going to give it to, a star talent. And that's going to keep on going. And the Power 5 schools are going to keep getting richer and these kids are going to continue to go to these schools. What if all the money did get filtered to the association where the mid-sized schools can actually have a chance at getting
Almost
some talent? Like, is that possible? Like, I'm asking. I don't know.
It'd be some way somebody find a loophole or do something to get those players or promise them something. Because they always do something like that, like, oh, I buy your mama a house. They'll promise something to the parents, or because the
pay your
parents are
student
involved some
loans
way.
or do
Yeah.
Well,
something.
here's the issue
Yeah.
with that, Randy, is guess what happens when now the money is fueling through another body? Guess what happens?
Mhm.
A little
gets
bit
gonna be
gets,
some
cut
type
Who
of-
gets
off
to
the top.
who gets to keep a percentage of that?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right? I'm not touching this money for free.
There's gonna be some
Mhm.
scandal. And
But-
there's gonna be somebody doing something dirty that's
I feel
over
like-
the money anyway.
I feel like the universities should be involved in these conversations, and they should be
I agree.
ultimately responsible for what these kids are signing themselves up for.
Because they don't
Because-
know.
Yeah,
They don't know.
Well, because
what
at the end
y'all-
of the day, even though they are, legal adults, they're still young kids, and they're getting into the territory that they're not familiar with, and you don't want to see a player, sink or swim in that kind of situation.
Well, we're
you know,
putting
you
them in.
want-
We're putting them in.
You don't
a-
want to put
a
or put
losing
them in that
situation.
situation.
Like I was a pretty good kid growing up, but somebody
Mhm.
slid me $4 million for playing football. Oh, they couldn't tell me nothing. I'm acting now.
No, I'm done. I ain't even got to finish
I'm like,
school.
what? Coach is like, go run them gases. Who go run what?
Exactly.
Like, I'm
They're
already
like,
good,
I'm
coach.
$4
I'm
million.
getting
Nah,
No.
Coach, how much you cost me if I make you run these? Yeah, I'll go ahead and pay you.
It's
Like,
like,
to
it's
be
like
honest,
the
I'll
get out
probably
of gym card. Like,
be out
hey, go run
partying.
foul
$4
poles.
million?
I can't. I'm worth $4 million.
Yeah, like
I can't.
hurt
I'll break a
myself,
nail.
coach. I can't. Like Cam Ward, he made a business decision during the playoffs. Well, during a bowl game, not to go back in the game after you played the first half
Oh yeah,
to
I
break
watched-
the was it passing yards or something like that. But he went in the first half to play the game. Then he sat out the second half because he didn't want to get hurt. I was like,
dude,
but
I'm
you
a
played the first
Hurricanes
half.
fan.
There's no
I'm a-
rule that you can't get hurt in the first half.
I'm a Hurricanes fan, and that to me, look, if I had paid money to go to that bowl game to see them lose like the last minute and know he elected, I paid money to go to this. Right? It's
You want
like
a show,
It's
yeah.
like you paying money, Randy, to go see LeBron play, and he sets the bench. Right? I mean, like we're giving kids way too much power at such a young age,
Mhm.
and we as humans aren't built to deal with those situations and
Mhm.
without guidance. And that's where the universities should come into play. They should have their lawyers involved.
Yep, they need some type of boundary set.
Oh my God. And to
Yeah.
help guide these parents to make the right decisions for their kids, it should come like, I don't know. That's how I
So
would
you
see
know
it.
some parents use their
No,
kids.
Oh,
Yeah, we know it. So you know it's gonna happen with the NIL deals. They don't be using their
I
kids
taught
like
Aaron-
stay longer. Don't
I
go
taught
to
Aaron the term they Chris Jenner them, because Chris Jenner is the momager, and there are, like, I see it in our area. There's a lot of people that will pimp their kids out on. There's so many like travel
social
ball
media.
Facebook pages and social media. They will pimp their kids out for it, and I'm like, you just sound like you're selling your kid just for the sport, and it's just, there's a lot that try to manage them at such a young age, and it almost becomes, well, do they want it, or do you want it more than they want it?
That's right.
Tell them.
So-
Right. Well, before we come to close, Tracy, I do have one last question for you.
Of course.
My son have a bad eating habit and water habit.
A bad
Water.
eating habit and what? And water?
Water habit, yes. So, what advice would you give young athletes to look to improve their nutrition? I'm trying to get him to drink more water, but
Always keep it simple with nutrition. A protein. Is he in there?
yeah, he looking at me like, what?
Come here, have him join.
Well, Austin, you want to come say hi to Coach AP?
He said no.
Yeah,
He said he didn't like you.
He said he'd be right back.
I got him something coming in
I
the
think
mail
with
soon. He better.
nutrition, because here's the thing, my son doesn't eat vegetables, and it is such a hard thing. Like, I really do try as a parent, and I sneak them in. I try to hide them and everything. Hi, cutie.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up, dude?
What up?
You've grown a little bit since I saw you last year.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you still pitching.
Yes, sir.
All right. You putting in
He's
work
so
on your days off?
respectful.
Yes, sir. I'm
Yeah.
trying to do lessons now.
Okay. Well, look,
Good
don't
job.
ever underestimate the value of you going out with a tennis ball, throwing a tennis ball against a wall, doing something to work on your game, man.
Yes, sir.
You can't wait to those practices to get better. You got to
Mhm.
decide early. That's what's going to happen. But I think you got it, man.
Mhm.
So
Your dad says you don't like water.
I do like water.
He don't like water. He needs some type of
Do you-
flavor.
Oh, well, that's okay. So you just got to choose the right flavoring. So, like, Mio water isn't bad, but I can't remember if it has stevia or sucralose in it, which is, just stuff you don't need. It's just junk you don't need. Stevia is not terrible for you. But you could do, like, some flavoring is good. When it comes to water, you want to drink half of your body weight. So, like, for me, I have to drink a gallon a day. Now, there's times where I know I'm not going to get a gallon a day, and I drink a electrolyte drink, which just helps, basically salt. And same thing like with your nutrition. You want to make sure keep it very simple. What's your favorite food?
Crawfish.
Crawfish isn't bad. You like crawfish? Do you suck the head and everything?
Yes, ma'am.
Ew. Oh my gosh. I'm not there. I can't do that.
I want to do it. I want to do it.
I don't. My
That's
husband
cool.
will eat pounds of it. I'll eat it like in a souffle type thing, like a dip. But the minute I see that little body, I think of the water it came from, and I'm just not. No, I just don't do that. Yeah, when it comes to nutrition, you want to keep it simple, especially with the younger kids. They're not going to eat just chicken, rice, and broccoli or a vegetable.
Well,
You
here's
want
a
to keep it.
question. Here's a question, Tracy.
Okay.
Austin, what's protein?
That's
It
true
makes your
too.
muscles bigger.
No, what's protein though? What do you eat that has protein in it?
Meat.
Okay. What else?
Salads.
Maybe
That's a
if
vegetable.
it's got,
And
if it's got like fried chicken, not fried chicken, but like chicken or grilled chicken or something, that's protein.
so lettuce is technically water because it's a nutrient dense, and so it's kind of like if you're eating iceberg lettuce, it's basically water.
Yeah.
So it's like a water crisp vegetable.
Just take a head of lettuce to the baseball park with you and just munch on that thing. That would be hilarious. Here's how I explain it to my son, Austin. All right. When you sweat, what are you sweating?
Water.
All right. Now,
There you go.
when you run out of water, what happens?
You sweat.
Well, you ain't got no water to sweat.
get
You're going
hot?
to be laying on the ground.
Mhm.
Right. So what
You're
happens is
dehydrated.
when your body liquids get low to a certain degree, your body goes in shock. So unless before your game, you've got to like drink water constantly because you're trying to put that water in your body before your body starts expelling it. Right. So you've got to
Sir.
keep it up, which is why.
And technically, you want to do it a few days before. So you want to get your body used to it's in that hydrated state.
Yep.
And so, and because here's the thing, when someone gets dehydrated, we saw this happen at a tournament, and I kept telling the parents, like, don't do this. They gave their son a liquid IV, which liquid IV is not a good hydration, so just don't take it. And the kid chugged it. And I said, you don't do that because he's going to throw up. And she's like, well, he needs,
No.
yeah.
Tell him what liquid IV is.
So liquid IV is basically a hydration. It's a salt blend. It just puts electrolytes in
Powder you put in
it. And
your
it's a powder. Yeah,
okay.
it's a powder. It's
I
not
thought
my
it's like the thing they
favorite.
hook you up in the bag in the hospital. I'm like,
No.
That's their play.
I mean, there are.
That's
Listen,
their
there
play
are
on it.
those.
Yeah.
But yeah. And
Okay.
there's so many hydration brands that people will use, but I'm using liquid IV as an example because that's what she grabbed. And I remember telling her, like, hey, you got to be careful about hydration drinks and like chugging them because you can actually make yourself sick from it. It's not, you're supposed to sip on it, which is why I tell clients when you play a tournament, especially the younger ones, hydrate days before, start that process. And 5 minutes later, he was thrown up on the field. I don't know what happened. I said, I told you not to chug it. I told you, but no one listened. So yeah, when it comes to the nutrition side, Swift, you always want to just keep it simple. You know, protein, it can be chicken, sausage, tofu. You know, my son loves turkey, pepperoni slices, things, and, you know, just keeping it basic with a carb source. You know,
Yeah.
so many people think carbs are the enemy. Well, you want good carbs, and then you want, you know, you have some less nutritious carbs that are just, you know, packed with stuff you don't need in your body.
Well, Tracy,
how much-
you know, as you're saying this, like, you know, for a guy like Tom Brady who made it all the way to his mid 40s, and I kept hearing avocado ice cream, and I'm sure all these bizarro world foods that he's eating and so on. Like, is there any validity to that, though? I mean, like, obviously, we're talking about the pros versus someone who's Austin's age, but, you know, like the organic foods and so on. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Or,
you can
like, to
afford it.
both of you?
I mean, I don't think
You can
everything
afford
organic is like the best thing. I don't think you should go out and buy organic only. I think a lot of it comes with a balance, and I think a lot of it, there are nutritious facts with avocado. Obviously, there's a lot, it's your healthy fats. Now, you don't want to do too much of that because, and I think that just depends on your diet preference. And, you know, they talk about like macros within your workout and your diet plan and routine and everything. But I think when it comes to nutrition, so many people will make it such a big thing. And it's really just simple. I think that honestly, nutrition is, for me, I think just growing up is the easiest thing for me to kind of control. And working out is a little bit more, you know, harder on my side, even though I come from that background. And I think a lot of it just has to do with, I've done.
Oh, you're on mute, Tracy. Yeah.
I get tired of it so much, but at the same time, I always try to just stress to my clients that you want to keep it very simple. You don't have to go overboard when it comes to the meals and everything. I mean, I'm a big believer of keeping it balanced. So I still eat chips. I still have ice cream. I'm going to have ice cream after we get done with this. You don't have to do everything low carb and the newest trends and all that kind of stuff. And so it's just, but it is interesting when I do look at like these athletes and influencers and what they push out to people, and especially on social media. If you sometimes are already struggling and then you look on social media and say Tom Brady is telling you to eat avocado ice cream for 7 days straight and you'll lose 20 pounds, what do you think that person's going to do?
Sure.
They're going to eat the avocado ice cream so they can lose 20 pounds, even though it has no validity. It has no effect on them. They're going to do. So what you put out there, people hold on to. And I've gotten caught in that before where, you know, maybe I'm not feeling so confident about my body and stuff. And, you know, I had 3 slices of pizza before, and I just have to remember it's all about balance. I'm going to Jesus, and I'm going to enjoy my cupcakes and cookies. I don't care. I'll die with a cookie.
I think a lot of times if you just educate, like Ben, if you educate Austin on how many grams of protein he should have in a given day, how much how much does he weigh?
That's a good question.
How much? Yeah, I was gonna say how, because I get
75, 80 pounds.
Not that big, maybe 90.
Yeah,
I don't think he's at 100, nowhere near 100.
So if he wants to gain muscle, he needs to put at least 40 to 45 grams of protein in his body every day, and that'll help his
protein like powder or bar based.
Natural.
Yes, more natural. That's the thing, is so many people are getting their protein intake, because I try to aim for 150 grams, which is hard when you're not doing it without protein
liquid
powder and liquid and everything. And there's times where I'll have like a protein drink, or I'll do like a protein water, because they make clear protein now.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. It's called Protein 2.0 or something like that.
I'm gonna write that down. I'll be trying to get my protein intake.
I'll have to send you a picture of it. I think you can order it on Amazon and everything. It's so good, because it's when I have busy days, like Wednesdays and Fridays are my 2 busiest days. I am gone from the house for hours. And so you want to try to make sure that they get, you know, somewhat of their intake. This is what I do with clients. So when I first take on a client, I do have them start tracking, and I teach them ways of tracking their macros and learning about it. And I have a client right now, we've had to pause on that, because for her, she's looking at it and she's getting so overwhelmed by it. And it's making her revert to not wanting to go through with workouts, not wanting to, she's over concentrated on that. And so, and I get it, because I don't track anymore. I've done it for so long. I can look at my palm and know, okay, this is 40 grams of protein right here. I'm good to go. But when they're kids, you just have to be careful, because I know for me, like in a sport, I had coaches that were so fixated on what I was eating, what I was doing, what I weighed, all this. And you want them to be mindful of it. And I think a good thing too, I don't know if any of y'all do that. We don't say like good food or bad food. Now, my in-laws, I love them, but I've caught them saying like, you know, donuts are bad for you. And I'm like, no, donuts are not the most nutritious thing, but it's not a bad food. Now, if you eat donuts 7 days in a row, yeah, it's not going to be good for your stomach or anything like that.
Yeah, just call them empty
there's
calories.
No good for bad food. It's just food. You know, there's less nutritious and, you know, food that's a little bit more nutritious for you.
So thank you, Tracy, for giving my son some corners. You know, he's all about putting on muscle. Y'all trying, like, you see that?
I know.
He's got to fuel them. He's got to feed them.
You got to feel the muscles. Carbs are going to be his friend. I mean, I will say, does he like sweet potatoes?
I hate sweet potatoes.
I love sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes my go-to, man.
It's like it's nature's fat burner. It's the best. It's the best carb source, because it's not like a slow digestive one, kind of like oatmeal, but it's a little bit below, and it's definitely better than rice, in my opinion, unless you get a rice that has like a low glycemic level, which there's really only one brand I know of that's really good about that. It's called Parish Brand. But other than that, like, sweet potatoes are so good. You can
Yeah.
do so many things with it. So
Mhm.
Can. All right, before
hey,
we
Randy's making a face.
I'll take your word for it.
yeah,
I don't want to touch no
y'all can
sweet
keep
potato.
it.
I know.
Well,
Randy, I
I-
will say, like, I did try. Is it called poutine or?
yeah, for sure.
I tried it so we went to a Canadian restaurant in Dallas, Texas. I'll have to go back and think of the name of it. It was like
Okay.
maple something. But they had that for breakfast, and I mean, I don't eat anything. I don't eat French fries for breakfast. So it was a little weird for me.
Yeah.
But
Who
it was
does?
good. I was like, I like it.
Well, no,
Poutine?
Yeah, poutine.
poutine. Yeah,
poutine.
so it's
Poutine. What is it?
Poutine.
It's
Well,
like
Linda,
theology
have
bit.
you heard of poutine, Linda?
I have heard of it. I've never
So
had
it's
it.
so it's very funny. So the very
Go for
first time I did a roundtable with Ben, for lunch in high school, we were all about fries and gravy, right? Because
Okay.
we didn't. Yeah, so I mean, ketchup is definitely a thing. I personally don't put ketchup on French fries. There's actually a small reel. There's an Instagram reel about when Flowers was asking about French fries, and he was asking if Canadians put vinegar on French fries. Some of us do. That being said,
like malt vinegar or like
yeah,
white vinegar.
I'm sorry, white vinegar. Yeah. So, well, I think malt vinegar.
No,
well,
it's malt
anyway.
vinegar. Yeah.
Malt on French fries?
Yeah, you can. They're in restaurants. Five Guys, they got malt vinegar everywhere.
Huh?
Oh, we don't have a Five Guys
We
anymore.
have a Five Guys. I gotta go with my local Five Guys now to see what you're talking
Right.
about.
I ate there the other day.
They,
They got
they
it.
closed ours. We don't have one.
Really?
Aw.
Yeah.
So
That's my jam there.
yeah, so Ben had no idea about fries and gravy, but then I didn't bring up poutine
Yeah.
during that roundtable, and basically it's cheese bits
Mhm.
on the gravy, which melts, and you get the fries going and everything, and that's a Canadian staple.
Sound like
ladies and
loaded
gentlemen.
fries to me.
It was. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we were
That
eating
is the
breakfast at
jam.
8 a.m. and we went to this restaurant. It's called Maple Leaf Diner, and they are from Canada and they came to Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
Apparently, like, they are highly rated. There was a line outside the door by the time we got done. But my husband, he works, there's Canadians that come and work with him and everything. And he was like, you got to try it. And I'm just very basic on, I eat breakfast stuff for breakfast. I don't do like lunch things for breakfast. I'm very regimented. Like
Yeah, no.
and
French
so I
fries.
tried it and I was like, this isn't bad. I like it. I've never had gravy on my fries, but that's interesting. You don't do ketchup on fries because I love ketchup on
Me
everything.
personally, no, because I actually put mayonnaise on my French fries, and yeah, so I do. I'm a mayonnaise guy with my French fries, but Coach, don't worry about it. One of
His
these
face is
days,
my
you
face,
and I
like,
are going to meet in
that's
person.
no.
No, and you know what? I'd definitely be up for having having you on my podcast. We could cut it up a little baseball.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
yeah, let's do it up. But have you guys heard of ketchup potato chips? Canadian.
Okay, yes, I did try them,
staple.
and they were gross.
Gross. You really? Oh,
Yeah.
you're breaking my heart, Tracy.
I
Come on now.
know. I wasn't. You probably would hate what I do with ketchup. So, like growing up, this was like my favorite meal. Y'all, the Southerns know it. Like meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and either corn or pea. I always did like green peas, and I'd take my mashed potatoes, I'd take my peas, and then I do mix it up and do some ketchup on top.
Oh,
And the look on my son's
I
face
don't
was
like
like,
ketchup that much.
I do. I love it. That's the only way I ate my peas. My mom said I would mix my
ketchup
peas
and
and my mashed
peas.
potatoes.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's-
it's just a Southern thing. So, but
It's a little hit or miss. There's a great reel of the LA Chargers trying ketchup potato chips. Some of them loved it, some of them hated it, some of them were indifferent. But yeah, I'm amazed that it didn't fly in the U.S.
We picky over here. So before we get off the show, I got this little funny clip to show. Then we'll begin off. It's about Trevor Baseball. He posts a lot of TikToks about it, and it's pretty funny.
I want to apologize now
Can y'all hear that?
Oh,
Mhm.
I've seen it. Yeah.
That is 8 miles away. The South America tournament starts this Monday in Peru. Once that's over, we will hike the Amazon rainforest to get to the port of Spain by Thursday, where a Carnival cruise ship will take us to South Africa for a game in Cape Town. From there, we will bus up and play in the Saudi Arabia Classic. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pretty low-key schedule. But after yesterday's attempt to play the Sentinelese tribe on their island, I felt like we should take it easy the next few weeks. Where's Mark? How you feeling? Good. You should probably get that checked out after the season's over. But for now, you are in charge of team snacks for the upcoming games. And don't forget, 2 of the kids have peanut allergies.
It's like,
I mean,
it's like a list of stuff. He's like,
It's
really?
so spot on.
Yeah, I love
really
that guy.
is.
He always posts funny content.
He's
So
funny. I love it.
thank you, Traci, for joining us.
Thank you
Where
guys
can
for having me.
Find you. Where can people find you?
So I'm on Instagram at Traci Bond. It's at Traci_Bond. And I think I am on TikTok still. It hasn't gotten taken down yet. So it's Traci.Bond89. Nothing like fancy. I don't know. Somebody said my username was not fun. And I'm like, I'm fun.
Keep it simple. That's what
I'm
that's
very
my motto.
simple. I'm like, I can't, I'm not going to do something crazy or anything like that. That way it doesn't look crazy when I get brand offers. I don't want them. Yeah. So
got to read a name and everything.
Exactly. I was like, I want you to know who you're talking to. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me. I loved it.
You're welcome. Coach AP, where can people find you and your show?
We're everywhere. X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Nope, I already said X. YouTube.
Yep.
We're on everything.
Is Twitter
everything. All social media platforms.
All social media, including LinkedIn at the Slide Podcast Show.
Awesome. Awesome.
Not the LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
business.
I do it with business and as far as networking and growing exposure for a show. So
nice.
He's grown so much.
Yes, he has. I
proud
can't
of
believe it had been like 3 years. It was the first show that I want to say you was our
I think it was the first or
guest,
second guest. Yeah.
First or second guest. I gotta go look back, but it was like it can't be
was the
that
second.
long since.
Coach, has anybody
AP.
told you you look like Josh Donaldson?
Who is Josh Donaldson? Remind me.
He won the MVP with the Jays. He was with Oakland.
No, never heard that.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'll take it as a
We
compliment.
got
Is
his
it a good
double
thing?
on the show.
The bringer of rain. The bringer of rain.
Randy, our partners in Canada, where can they find you?
At VOF Canada on YouTube. Instagram is basically my main source when I spit out stories and so on. All at VOF Canada, Twitter, Threads. Yeah.
Nice,
and I'll be on Pins and Needles definitely for tomorrow's hockey game, Canada, USA. I don't like our chances. I'll tell you that right now.
No,
I'll tell you that right.
Don't boo the
USA
national
is-
anthem, Randy.
Maybe you should do the national anthem.
I'm not going to go there.
They found out.
All right, Linda, we know you do your own thing on the side too. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me at Hot Take Hottie _, Instagram and TikTok.
Well, man, the guys, they missed a good one, but I hope Flowers get healed up soon. RC, I hope your child won the championship game, and we'll be back. Traci, don't be a stranger. You're welcome on the show anytime.
Oh my god!
Thank you, Coach AP.
Anytime.
It was so
Thank
much
y'all,
fun.
guys.
Thank you guys, I loved it.
Yes, we gotta do it again sometime.
Yeah, and Linda, next time I want to hear you talk.
I think she was calling out
when
my
more
phone.
about football.
No,
If
because
it's
I don't have any kids, so I'm taking
you're taking
yeah.
notes on what to do when you do have kids. And
There you
have
go.
Sports. Yeah, but if you were talking about Brock Purdy, she would have something to say.
Yeah,
Hey, I like Brock
in
Purdy.
San Francisco.
I like him.
All right, guys. Until next time, we out of
Catch you on
here.
the slide.
Bye.
See you guys.
See you guys.